Welcome to another episode of the SMG Podcast. We are going to be following on in our series, the Joint Enterprise series. This is going to be part 3. And we have two very, very, very brave people here to speak about their experiences with joint enterprise, how it's affected their lives and their loved ones. And hopefully for anybody who's watching this who may be going through this themselves, you can gain some strength, you can gain some information, maybe some insight, just based off of their stories. So we'll allow them to introduce themselves. Paulette, if you want to go first.
Hi, my name is Paulette.
My name is Carmen.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us today. You don't know Pels. We got Pels in the background. She ain't on camera, but y'all know Pels. So, Paulette, we'll go to you first. Thank you for coming. We don't obviously know anything about, your story. So as much as you can from the beginning, is it your son?
Yes, my son. One of my sons. It was actually 2 sons that was on the trial.
Okay, cool. Can you pull your mic just a bit close? Perfect.
Yeah.
So tell us about your son. Well, your sons, rather.
What happened on the night. So, my sons, 2 of them and a friend and a cousin went out to South London to a rave. And it was an industrial rave. So it was a big, massive rave. They left 5 to 10 minutes before it finished, so they wouldn't have been in the crowds. So they were walking off. They'd gone. My eldest son went one way, and my younger son went another way because it's where they were parked. They came in 2 different cars. So what's happened is now the friend has left his. As they're walking, the friend realised that he's left his phone with my younger son's friend who was driving. So they've run back now. He's run back to get his phone. As he's run back to get his phone, my eldest son and his cousin stayed there sitting on the wall waiting. He's run back to my youngest son and the friend to get his phone. So now he's got his phone. When he's got his phone now, they're doing Snapchat. By this time now, the crowds come out. So now everywhere's full. So they're doing Snapchat, messing around under their liquor. And then, so my son, my youngest son now has walked off because his driver now said, I'm going. So they've walked off to that direction, left the friend in the middle with a group of people that were linked in arms, taking photos, doing whatever not. And my other son and his cousin was on that side. So what's happened is now, because I saw the whole thing on CCTV.
Okay.
So what's happened now, the friend that's linked in with other friends got lick in his head from behind. So you see on the camera when he goes down. In that moment, when he got lick in his head, that's when that person got stabbed. So the person that hit him in his head, whoever was there, has turned around and stabbed that guy. So now because he hit him in the head with one of them big massive champagne bottles, so his head was hanging out. So it was quite serious, but everyone heard it. So then my son and his cousin came running in, and then they got there before my youngest son got to him. So that means my youngest son would have been further than them. So you see on the camera, they reached to him first, and then my youngest son comes, and you can see them looking at his head. So what he's done now, the friend, is just run off. Like, because, so he's just run off. But in the camera, the reason why he's run off, as you can see, from what I see anyway, that he's running off now, looking to see who this was. I think he must have caught who it was. Saw, I don't know, but he just ran off. And then my sons, because they're all friends, followed him, started running.
Okay.
So they're running around. This all kind of madness was going on, running around trying to find who this person was. And that's what really drew my that's what really got them arrested, is the aftermath, the running around. So anyway, they got arrested after. They took the friend to the hospital. They drove him all the way from South London to Homerton. It's lucky that he lived, to be honest, because it was he lost a lot of blood, etc. And that was it. They didn't know that anyone had been stabbed. They didn't know anyone had been stabbed. So yeah, and that was that. So it was only like hours later in the day that they heard that a person had died. But this person that died didn't actually die from the stab wound. He died because he had a blood disorder where it wasn't, his blood wouldn't clot to be healed. Yeah.
Was this prior or when they smashed him with the bottle?
Right. So the person that attacked with the bottle,
yeah,
he's the one that died.
Okay.
So he's the one that got stabbed.
Okay.
Yeah. From whoever was in that circle at the time. So yeah, he died because he had the blood disorder. So they found that out later after.
So how many people were your sons with? Like, how big was that group of people that they were with? So
it was just, that was it. What it is. So my son wasn't in the group. It was the friend that got attacked from behind. So there was a big group. There was loads of people because it was a big rave, an industrial rave, and now it's just full. Out there was just full up of people.
That's mad. So they had like literally nothing to do with.
No.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So
that's wild.
The person that has done it is on the street walking.
That's
they know
crazy.
Who done it, and he's out there.
Yeah.
You know, but because of the aftermath, because my sons are not saints, they're known to the police. So that's what got them arrested, because now they know who these, they watch the camera and they see all the running around. They called it this, what they call that when is it? Oh, it's gone out my head. I can't remember. It will come to me. But anyway, they were running around, and yeah, so they were on the murder trial now. So now they were done for manslaughter, murder, and the other thing where they're running around. No, the same thing what your son was up for. What are them called? Name them out. No. It's all right. They were just running around. There's a word for it, but it's gone out my head. Yes, so they were done for 3 counts. So now when it came to court, my eldest son got let off straight away. His barrister said, pinpointed, when did the murder take place? They reckon that the murder took place there and then when the friend got hit in the back of his head. So, because my son was over there on camera at that time, he was taken off straight away because his barrister was quite good. With my youngest son now, the police is saying they haven't got him on the camera, so he's in a blind spot. So they haven't got him on the camera when the murder took place, but they're saying that they're placing him there. They're saying that he must have been there.
But the murder's on camera.
Yeah, it's all on camera.
But they can't find him on camera.
He's not there. No.
Bro, that's mad.
Yeah. So because he's in a blind spot, and then maybe because he's got criminal record already.
That's mad. But how? Okay, this is gonna sound ignorant and naive because I already know how the system is broken.
Violent disorder. Sorry, that's what it is. Violent disorder running around. So, yeah.
But how does a judge hear this, like, okay, so he's not on camera, but the murder's on camera, and we're still gonna do him. Like, how does that work? How does that go through? I don't get it.
They make their stories up.
That's crazy.
They say from the time you mention, because they try to say they're gangs, they're in gangs. That's something that they put them in themselves, and then it's like whatever they say goes, because they don't have no say.
Yeah.
So they can make up their story, they can say whatever they want, and it just goes, you know. So yeah, that's what happened to my son. So I'm not saying he's a saint, but I know that he ain't no murderer, and he didn't murder no one. And I saw the camera, I saw the footage, I saw everything, and even the friend that got hit behind, because at first my son was believing that he did it, but in my heart I know he did not do it. I see the camera, and I see exactly what happened. So whoever he was linked with, or who was around him, has done that murder. But it wasn't the friend, and it wasn't my son, and both of them are in prison.
That's mad.
Yeah.
So what's have they been sentenced as?
Yeah, my son's been in prison 10 years now.
What?
10 years. He got 19 years, got life, and the friend got 21 years.
Damn. Is there like does he get
We
appealed?
appealed. They didn't accept it, so nothing happened. And then after that, it's like we just stopped for a while because it's too much. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't cope. My son couldn't fight. The only, well, I shouldn't say the only good thing, but what was good about it for me in my case, even though it was heart wrenching, is that my eldest son got in trouble again when he got let off, and he was in prison at the time when my son got his sentence. And when it happened, I cried, and I just kept saying, God, why have you forsaken me? God, why have you forsaken me? That's all I said. I cried for like 2 days. And then my eldest son called me. He called me and he said, Mum, he was crying on the phone. He was crying. This is my eldest son, not even the youngest one. And he said, Mum, God put me here. God put me back in here because I had to hold Aiden, and I had to just hold him in my arms like a baby, and we just cried. And then he said to me, and Mum, I just told Aiden that he has to give his life to Christ. And when he said that to me, that's when I just got the joy and the peace inside of me. But it wasn't nice. You know, and we was just crying. Both of us were just crying on the phone. But he had someone my son had his big brother there to hold him, you know, and comfort him, you know. Can you imagine the others that don't have nobody? Wickedness, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's yeah, that's crazy. I'm not gonna lie,
so that's
wild.
what gave me hope and believe. My son, I knew that my son's got I know I knew that God was doing something, and I know that my son, I know it's been 10 years and I haven't really done much. We've been trying to get specialists for the cameras and all sorts of things, you know. We're trying to, my other son, because I've got 4 boys. So the middle son, he's the one that's been trying to get everything together. We're going to go for an appeal again. It hasn't been easy.
How did the other two cope with all of this going on?
So my youngest son, they're all right. I've got one daughter. I don't really know how it's affected them, to be honest, because it's just hard. Like,
is it too early to tell? Well, I mean, it's been a while, but
it has affected everybody. It has affected everybody, but I don't know, maybe because of the way we grew up. It's not, you know, families, you know. But yeah, it has affected. It has affected us. Even like my eldest son, me and him stopped talking for a little while because he ended up going back in prison, and I had to really talk to him and say, what are you doing? Your son is in prison for something that he didn't do for life, and you're messing about with your life doing stupidness, you know. So you know, me and him fell out because of that. So there's been a lot of like separation, like we're
Yeah.
not, you know. But at the time, we've come back now. I'm walking in my faith, you know, because I changed my life. I changed my life for my children. I wasn't a Christian all the time,
Okay.
but I had to change my life because I saw, well, what's happening here, you know. And now I only met Pearls literally 2 years now, just under 2 years, I think, something like that. And when I met her, I just always knew in my heart that this is not going to be a small thing. It's a big thing. And when I met Pearls, I know that it's not just about my son anymore. It's bigger than that. And I do believe that this is going to be a big thing. It's going to be on the news. It's going to be everywhere. And that's what I believe in my heart. And that's what I always believed. After I had that conversation with my son that day, that gave me hope. You got a tissue? Yeah, that gave me hope. So,
So, I
yeah.
mean, thank you very much. Yeah, we'll touch
Go,
more
Carmen.
on the spiritual side. Carmen, I want to come to you.
Yeah.
I'm saying your name right, Carmen.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, cool. Would you like to tell us about your situation?
Terrible. Well, my son, Christopher,
Oh goodness.
this is not about like it just happened. It's happened 8 years ago, from 2016, when my son was 16 years old. Starting of it, he came in from school, something. So they have this special pizza place in Walthamstow where all the young lads they go and
I think I
chill
know
out.
the place. Yeah.
Pizza, downtown pizza,
Is it by
St.
like?
James Street.
Is it by like the traffic lights?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know
So
that
they
place.
always going in there and chill out. So he was in there. I saw the CCTV. He was sitting there, and these guys now, Walthamstow High Street is Jugs Den here, and they reckon it's a business, good business for Jugs. So you have the higher middle guys, them now, like fighting, the Marley's boys, them. That's the St. James Street boy. For that, to control that boundary. Everyone tried to fight to control their territory. They're not having it. So these boys from Iron Hill, they always come down and they attack these boys them down there. They would stab up, shoot up, acid and everything. And I don't know if because of their colors, they have never been harassed by the police. So every time they come down, they attack this boy them. Is this same, the victim them, the police them harass. So on this particular evening, they were in the Pizza Hut. My son was sitting, and these boys, even the same one that died, and they enter the Pizza Hut and they start to one of the guys in the Pizza Hut gets stabbed in his chest. My son get acid, and they were like baseball and everything, and they do their job, and they lived. When the police were called and the ambulance and you can see my son was like, he don't even know what happened. He was like, he was in panic. He didn't seem like he was hungry or anything. He just like tried to make an escape, and he go to the back of, over the counter of where they gave him water to wash his face. And anyway, after the police and everything come, and they went outside and go. Instead of the police, they go in search for the perpetrator. It's the victim. Them you see a man get acid, a man get beat up with baseball, and a man get stabbed. They took the one that get stabbed to hospital. Then they took my son and the other rest to South London, Carindale Police Station.
South
The
London.
victim, they locked up instead of they go in search for this perpetrator. They locked up the victim and it took them 24 hours to realize that they were the victim. So it's happened that on the next day they release them when they realize that they are the victim and not the perpetrator. Still, they didn't come and go in search for the perpetrator. So within my little knowledge and experience, and I say, this would make anyone angry. Because if I'm a victim and then I found myself into a police station for 24 hours, so day comes out now and man was angry. So they must decide not to. That's what the police said. I didn't hear it in the CZ, but in the webcam, because they said, one of the guys said they're gonna revenge or adventure what. So that's what the police say. We in the court, we couldn't hear it. But that's what the police say is webcam captured. They said they're gonna revenge. Anyway, 3 days after that, because it happened and that incident happened on the 14th, and then the boy died on the 16th. So it's called it 3 days after. And they went in the area in Higham Hill, and they saw the boy, one of the boy, and they attacked him. Unfortunately, he got stabbed, and he went to hospital. He was in hospital. He died 4 days after. And my son wasn't there. He take his medicine, and you can see on the CC footage where he was. The last sighting they saw my son that evening was, I think it's either 6:45 or 7:15 on the CC footage. The murder took place at 11:45 in the night. They have footage of the other defendant them, because 7 of them get charged. In the cab office, they saw them when they went into the cab that took them to Higham Hill. My son wasn't there, nowhere to be seen in that footage. They went to Higham Hill and they do what they has to do. It took now from then, the police, they come and they didn't do any arrest. It's, I think, couple days after when they see the CC footage and everything. But because the reasons dragging my son into this, that's the only thing they had to drag my son down this, is because he was attacked in the downtown pizza. There's nothing else, no CC footage, nothing else to link my son to the crime scene. There is no facial images, nothing to link my son to it. So anyway, they have him under investigation until they eliminated him from the inquiry in 2021. So he's now not longer a part of the investigation. And 2020, they eliminated him. 2021, the 21st of September, because he was working on a construction site. He doing apprenticeship and he works in the West End at a burger place. So he moves on with his life. And he get up this morning, this particular 5 o'clock in the morning, to get prepared for work. He heard bang, bang, bang on his door. So he's saying, because he did get stabbed up, left with a punctured lungs, they have to airlift him from. So he said, they move him out of Walton Forest, bring him to South London. So he said when he heard the knocking, he was like, he said, oh my God, don't tell me that these guys, they find me. And he was like scared. But anyway, he said he went and he looked to the window. And when he looked, he saw about 5 police vehicles there with lights flashing. I'm saying to myself, no, you're going for one man, one little man, and the whole of Scotland Yard. 5, went down there, light flashing. It's lucky it's early morning, where nobody didn't really know because, when he looked through the window and he see this whole lot of, he went to the door and he said, "What do you want? I haven't done anything." Because they eliminated him from the inquiry. So, and he haven't got involved in anything. So he went to the door and said, "What do you want? I haven't done anything. Why are you here?" They told him to open the door. By the time he opened the door, he was in handcuff. "Oh, we charging you for Cassie McCrane murder." You see, if I say what murder, I didn't murder anyone. I didn't murder anyone. And to my surprise, that happened 5 o'clock in the morning. And by 10 o'clock, my son was in court. So it's like they charge my son before they even come and get him. He was in court by 10 o'clock, Stratford Magistrate
That's
Court.
mad. That's mad.
So when I get the call, it was a police, they ring and said, "Christopher want to speak." The first thing come to my head was, oh my God, don't tell me that he went to work and don't have any bus fare and jumped the train barrier because, a young people style. That is the first thing flash in my head. Instead I hear his voice and he said, "Mom, they charged me for murder and said I'm going to court." So I'm like, I went straight away to the court. When I get there, his barrister and said, "Is it just the same rubbish? No evidence or anything, just the same rubbish." Anyway, they remanding him. I got home, I rang the police and I have a conversation. I said, "Why is my son being charged for murder when he was eliminated from the inquiry in 2020? So why is my son being charged?" The officer said to me, "The reason why my son being charged is because they've been trying with him for over the past 5 years to help them with their investigation, and he refused. So hope now he becomes a suspect. He will tell his legal team what happened that night, or he tell the 12 members of jury, or he tell the crown prosecutor, or else he spend his rest of his life in prison." That's what the officer predict on my son. So I said to him, the blood of Jesus is against you, because I did not bring a murderer into this world, and my son would not go out there. My son grows up in church. He would not go out there and tell any lie. And more and be less, you say my son is a suspect, but you charge my son for murder? Suspect, how do you pronounce that? Because suspect is suspect, it's spelled different, and murder is spelled different. So it's two totally different things you are saying to me now, right? And he went to court, they remanded him. That's from 2021. He went on trial in 2023, 7 of them. 4 was found guilty. He had a hung jury, and a next one, his solicitor do the snitch, cutthroat, they call it cutthroat. So his client get away scot-free, and he was at the scene, and my son wasn't at the scene. That one that get away was at the scene, and my son was not there. And my son, anyway, he had the hung jury, and he remand again. They set up another trial for him, and when it come, the trial was supposed to be in February last year. When it come to the time, they cancel it and put it back way in November. So he almost on another year of remand. So in total, he served 3 years and 5 months on remand. He went on trial this time now, but he found not hung jury now. because there was no, the police officer who was the case, he was the cook, he was the cleaner, he was the prep, he was the chef, he was everything in this CC footage and making pure mistake. This is who I think is Mr. Wilson. You see no facial images of the person, nothing to say, it's just a, if Pearl see different, just a shadow, white cloud. Like, you know, when you have white, what you call that? Fog. That's all they see, 2 foot tracing, who they say is the boy that died, and 2 more other guy. The one that they say do the stabbing, he fled the country, right? They cannot identify my son to say is him because my son wasn't there. He came home after the incident, went home. The CC footage they put it as he was like behind some bush hiding on Lucas Road while the others were going into the cab to Higham Hill. That was the last sighting they saw of my son. He was so my son say he was there protecting his, what he has to protect, and then he head home. That's the last sighting of him until they now put him to say this person that they see tracing the victim that died is my son. There's no facial images, nothing to say is him. All I can hear when I'm seeing into the trial, this is who the Crown think is Mr. Wilson. Every talk he talk, this is who I think is Mr. Wilson. And the same opinion with the judge, with the police. Pure mistakes upon one mistakes and the other. It was a chaos in there. Anyway, it happened that the trial went through. When it comes to the ending of the trial, the prosecutor must be realized that he has no legs to stand. It's a weak case. He applied to use his conviction from, remember, this is his first, what they charge him for is the first. Nothing was behind it. Was before. He tried to apply to use his, after he had an incident after. In the first trial, the prosecutor did want to use it, but that judge refused because it was modern slavery. It was modern slavery. So that judge refused to bring it into it, say he gonna prejudice against him. So it didn't use in the first trial. But this judge now allowed the prosecutor to use it against my son. And when the jury them select, there were no diversity in the jury. It was just 11 white jury and 1 Asian guy in my son's trial. From you see those jury comments, they never look up. They just look up their head in the ground like hug. That's how I see it, because it's only hug, look down and don't look up. They were cold. So from ever since we were like, this is it. They haven't any interest in the trial. They wasn't like, sometimes you look at them, it's like they wasn't paying any interest into what's going on. Because they already make up their mind. It's a black boy into the dock there. We're going to send him down. And definitely, what happened when the verdict come down? Before the verdict, when they're in the jury, they send out a note to the judge, asking the judge, what is the meaning of sure? I'm thinking, as an English person, you ask, you don't know the meaning. That mean You is not an English person then. Because every English should know what sure is. And for a jury to be asking that question, the judge should just fling out that case or just drop that, discharge them. But no, the judge accept. The judge is a 75-year-old judge, an old retired judge. Right? He accept it. When the verdict, after they return back now, back to the jury room after that question, the judge, they come back and say they cannot reach a verdict with everyone. So the judge, that's where the judge wrong again. He will accept majority. He will accept majority. And they just come out 11 guilty. The one Asian guy, when he heard the verdict, he hung his head like this and was shaking his head because he knows if this jury did go by the evidence that put, because this guy is not stupid. He was asking some sensible question in the jury every time he sent over because he knows the police were lying. Because my son live in Leighton and some signal they make for their boundary sign. The gang unit, gang expert that they get come in to say it is a sign of allegiance, to say they sign allegiance to the Marley's boy. Sign allegiance. My son says it's a sign of Leighton, where he lives. He said he encountered with my son. He has never, ever encountered with my son, this gang youth man, because he took over Waltham Forest 2019, and my son leave Waltham Forest 2018, and he has, no matter how I begged my son to come, because he was allowed to come to where I live, he said, no, I'm not coming to Waltham Forest, and he never put back. And this policeman took over Waltham Forest 2019 and go in the dark to lies to say he is gonna, my son is a gang member. Gang, yeah. This is what they used to manipulate the jury them with their tactics, gangs. Once the jury them hear from you is a gang, you know.
Yeah.
That's it, it end. And when they come back with the verdict, and it said guilty, even the clerk, she couldn't hold. She went on. Oh my God, I can't believe. This wasn't the verdict I was looking for. I was looking for not guilty. The security them that just come up in, they were shocked too. Of the everyone that was there shocked. Because they can't believe you don't have any evidence. No evidence. I think that's all you can hear. I think this is who the Crown think. How can you just be thinking, think, everything, think. Anyway, it happened that he found guilty. And that was on the 3rd of December, right? 13th of December. Yeah, he found guilty. And the sentencing was last Thursday.
Last Thursday. Wow.
Yeah. And the same thing in the sentencing remarks, the judge did want to, like, his principle. So, you know, Joint Enterprise Commander 2, secondary and principal. So who they want to say now, the principal are the main perpetrator who do the stabbing. And so they do my son as one of the principal and 2 others. The one that run away, leave the country, and one that already found guilty. So, and the indictment was my son, the 3 on top of the indictment. So they believe that they were the principal. How can you say somebody's principal when you have no face recognition? You don't see the person with any weapon or not, but he's a principal. So anyway, after he found guilty now, they didn't really mention it in the trial that he was a principal. It's then when the sentencing, they want to bring it in, he's a principal. So his defense team after science said, no, my client can never be a principal because, my lord, there's no evidence of my client with any weapons or at the scene, or you only see two legs running. So, she defend. So in the remarks now, the judge kind of come down and like he did want to be at the starting point for 25 years for a 16-year-old. So they're breaking the law as well. Because with my son, it should be starting point is between 12 and 15 years. Right? Because he was 16. And it come down, they break it down until he finally come to the conclusion. Oh, what did he use, Pearl? I'm not sure. I wasn't sure he's the principal. I'm not sure he's the stabber. I'm not sure he was carrying a knife. That's the judge sentencing remark. But yet still, he looked at my son and give my son 16 years and 200 days. But not sure.
Damn. Is that a minimum sentence?
Yeah, so he has to serve that. So he already served 3.5 out of it, 5 out of it and remand. So he has to now do 12 years and 7 months. Yeah, before. But we appeal the conviction. So we just between 3 to 6 months. That is so. It's just that we have to rely on now. The kind of body.
I'm not sure.
Not guilty.
That judge, no, you're not sure. Person is not guilty-ish, could be guilty, little bit guilty. They are not. So when the jury asks what does sure mean, that judge direction of what sure. But the thing about he didn't even know what it is himself.
Don't look like he knows. Because the man, he don't even use computer. He was there all through the trial, writing. So each time you has to sit there, has to wait until you write down the old school style he was on. He's 85, 75. He retired. So I didn't know what. And this man sit down there and all these mistakes that this police was doing during the CC. You can't see nothing on this. Even so, the security said the case should just dismissed. It should not allowed to continue. Too much mistakes. First judge.
Our judge.
He wouldn't found guilty. No. He would never found guilty.
Do you have, I mean, obviously, you don't have any control over, like, the judge, do you?
No.
Like, you can't say, I don't like this judge.
No, we can't do it.
Send in another one.
We should, I think, they should allow to say, look, I need diversity in the jury selection. I'm black, and you have 11 white jury. What would you expect? If it was, I'm saying this, if Christopher did even get even 3 or 4 others I think maybe he would maybe get another hung jury.
Yeah.
And then they would have to just release him. But no, 11 white jury. Before even the verdict, remember, the judge, I sit there every day and the judge told them they must not congregate outside of the court. They must not discuss it. They must not. And as soon as they leave the court, the evening, the same Tuesday evening, discharged to do the summon. As soon as I come out, all of them was in the alleyway at the Old Bailey, in group, coming and chatting and laughing as if they know each other from way back. So I'm like saying to myself, so that's where they break the law. Because they should not be seen congregate. They are telling them don't do Google search. In this time, that cannot work anymore. They're gonna do it.
Yeah.
They're going to do it. Secondly, again with my son trial, there was a documentary on Channel 4 about it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
So what do they expect was gonna come from this trial? A documentary, I didn't know that there was a documentary on.
They didn't inform you?
No, it's when my brother went on and said, Carmen, after the verdict, my brother was going to the doc on site, and my brother called me and said, now I know why Christopher didn't get a fair trial, because there was a documentary. How many of those jury? Because the documentary were they are notorious gangs members and the biggest drug selling, making 50,000 a day in drugs. This is how the police they put it. So if someone sees something like that, and they see you come before them, what do they expect? So it's when I saw it now, I send it over to my son legal team. So they put that as part as the appeal as well. Because they could never expect he was gonna get a fair trial when all these things out there.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So in the meantime, the trial was in. The family passed a note over to my son and they're sorry, saying they're sorry to put him through all this. And because the family, they must know, because my friend has a daughter and the boy, two sisters, goes to the same Walthamstow Academy school. And when they heard the conversation, they said, Christopher, how Christopher get involved in this? How Christopher get in this? This has nothing to do with Christopher. So the family, they know exactly who is the killer. There was 3 altercations in the area that night of 3 different, because it look like these boys, they just go around and make trouble all over the borough. So there was 3 altercations in the one area that night. Nobody see when the boy gets stabbed. Nobody see when the murder commit. But what the police, they just do with their lazy investigation, they didn't investigate, because the boys then come down and attack these boys in the Uptown Pizza. That's where if my son wasn't in the Uptown Pizza that day and get attacked, my son wouldn't in prison now. But just that, because he was there and get attacked, that's where that's what the police they use and drag him in. That's the only thing they had to drag him in there. So because my son was attacked, he's a murderer.
It's crazy, man. This is crazy.
And until now, nobody, when one of the boy dad come and identify him in the CC footage, identify them in the Uptown Pizza, and see this and says his son. And it's still how a dad cannot know. any one of my kids in the darkest of the night, I would know them.
Yeah,
Right?
trust. I hear
And
that.
he come and identify his son. And the police, they put it out in the news that this boy is the wrong identification. How can that wrong identification his own son? Just trying to cover this boy and make it look like this boy was an angel. He was an angel from heaven when he is not none. Now, his family, them after the sentencing, I come outside and because I didn't want to speak to the family, but because they sent a note over to my son, so I understand now and I said, well, I can approach them. So I went over there and said, I'm Christopher, mom, and she said to me, oh, she's very sorry, and, you know, they were quite nice. She held my hand, she squeezed my hand. I hugged her, she hugged me, and she said to me, please, I'm asking you, give him all the support he can while he's inside. Give him all the support. Right? So if they did have any envy again, now the paper there. If you see what the police they put in the paper, how the family say they will not forgive Christopher because he didn't show any remorse and he lies his way and he's a notorious this and he's that and he should not be on our street. They branded him my 16-year-old as if he is the crazy brother. That's how they brand him. He's the notorious Ronnie Craze brother. Right? He's dangerous. And he didn't kill anybody. He didn't show any remorse. My son make it clear to them, say, I will not show any remorse because I did not kill anybody. I did not murder anybody. All I can do is give my empathy to the family.
I wanna.
And this is now causing me to. I'm a dedicated Christian. I was born and grow in environment from Jamaica to here, right? I did not leave my faith in Jamaica, come to this country. I bring it from Jamaica here with me. I don't go party, I don't go dance, I just church, right? From I come to this country. And my son grows up he grows up in church. He was active member in church. And I know he would not go out there and kill a fly. I know my son. He's too soft and easy to cry. And people with such soft heart can't do. Sometimes I have to slush him and say, am I growing a girl or a boy? Are you a boy or is a girl? That's all. Yeah, I have to get at him. He's too soft. Everything he would just go one side and rub it and crying. So how can somebody like that go out there? If he's get a little knife cut, he's singing, the blood, he's scared blood. So how is he gonna go out there and stop something when he knows blood gonna run? He's blood phobic. Right? So when this happened, to be honest, even him, we were fasting, the whole world was praying for him. The whole church everywhere I just asking for prayer everywhere I can get it. Prayer list and everything. I lose my faith in all this. Because how can I've been serving a God? My son was fasting. He inside the prison, helping with prayers, meeting and Bible studies with them. And he's praying and fasting, and this happened to him. So where's the God that I start questioning myself and losing my faith in all this.
Understandable.
Because you cannot, and I'm being honest, I'm not pretending to like I'm happy with what happened. I'm angry because God should not allow this to happen. And I'm questioning my faith. How does he sit back and make this happen to my son? And I'm suffering, I'm punishing, I'm walking the street, having panic attack, getting anxiety, because my son faces all over Waltham Forest. They are protecting a dead man who is a notorious gang members and putting my life at risk. Because remember, I'm living in the borough same way. And people knows me and know Christopher knows my son. I can be walking down the market and the same boy's friend, them just come up behind me. They stab me. They shoot, they do me anything because I'm Christopher. My son killed their friend. Right? So my life is at stake right now. I'm scared. I am very, very scared. Because this should not have happened.
Mm.
You can't protect someone that dead and then put someone that alive life in danger. My life is at stake. So I just don't know. So we just have to be just hope and, the appeal may come in his favor. So that's the only hopes right now.
Yeah. It's a sad too that people don't see where the family has to suffer in that
They
way.
don't see that. They don't look at that. They're protecting the dead. And the thing that I do not like too, and I would love this to go out there, when someone is a gang member and you come before something happens, don't portray like the person is angel when he is not. Say he is a notorious gang member to the jury them. Don't cover up. He's the light of the house. He was the love of the family and he was this. And you know he is not. And you just put the Cody and the defendants to be the demons in front of the jury them. It should be just 50-50. He's a gang member as well. Right? Don't pretend he is not. He always was a promising footballer. He was this. When he's not, you're out there selling drugs and causing problems, fighting for territory. And then you go on the social media. It hurts me as a mother now to know that my son is not this type. And when you go on the social media where you see people, the racist comments them, that's hurt you, it kill you, it dig you, it numb you out. Because some of them, deport him. Deport him. My son born here, my son have an English passport. Deport him back to Africa. My son is not from Africa. My son is a Jamaican descendant. All these dirty comments. Oh, wait, make it till him reach in the bathroom. What they are saying now when he reach in the bathroom, man gonna get behind his ass. These are the dirty comments. They are.
Do you know what the funny thing is? I was having a discussion today with my friend on the phone, and we were speaking for at least 3 hours about. He was just having this issue where he was just like, bro, like every time I go online and I look at these comments on TikTok, on YouTube, on Twitter, like every time a black boy does something wrong, bruv, they're always just mad racist to the youth. But then when a white boy does something wrong, they don't say nothing about his race. They just attack what he's done. Yeah. And he was just on a rant for so long. Literally comments like deport him and all of this kind of stuff.
Deport him. Send him back to Africa. Man, I got to do this with him in a prison.
Yeah,
they're not my son.
It's a lot of white people jokes.
Right?
Not gonna lie. No offense.
Bring back the death penalty. All these comments is racist. Because you cannot bring death penalty, and you know how many of these black boys, if they did have the death penalty in the youth, would die for crime that they don't commit?
Yo, it would be mad. If we had the death penalty, I mean, we would live. It would. People would move differently.
And all these comments is white people.
100%.
It's coming from the white people's them because you can't see them.
100%. 100%. I wanna pull away from this a little bit. I want to speak a bit about the spiritual side of all of this, right? So I'll come back to you, Paula, right? I did say I'll come back to the spiritual side because you mentioned how it has helped you, So I from what I hear, obviously I know that there's times you probably had doubts yourself, and I know that there's times yourself you've probably had strengths, but you know, you guys may have had completely different walks just in terms of how you've been dealing with this spiritually. So if you wouldn't mind speaking a little bit, Paulette, about how you've been dealing with this in respect to your faith.
So when I was already a Christian when this happened, but I wasn't walking fully. And that, I suppose that was part of my journey because I had one foot in and one foot out. And then I went through a lot through that journey myself personally. But there was times, like every time I thought about my son being in prison for something that he hasn't done, because I'm a person, you do the crime, you do the time. You know, I've always been like that. But this one he didn't do. And then worse, it's murder, and this is his life. So even though he's on a murder, I'm on it as well because it was really affecting me. So even though I was on my journey and I'm believing and I was trusting, but I'm human, and I used to break down sometimes. But when I break down, as I'm breaking down, I'm praying, you know, and that's what was giving me the strength. So I can pray and ask God to strengthen me, and He did strengthen me. And yeah, that's what's kept me going. And then I had to just focus not on my surroundings, not on what's going on. I just focus on God, focus on Jesus. And Jesus kept me. And I'm here today and I'm strong. I am strong. The last time I cried for my son was last year, February. I was telling Pels this morning, actually.
Wow.
The last time I cried. And that was because I was planning something. And then I was actually sitting down and I was getting ready for church that day, but I was planning something, my birthday. And then I was seating everyone, and then I was saying, oh my gosh, my son. And then it, it hit me that now my son needs to be there. This is going to be a big day for me. So so then I broke down. But when I broke down, I was in prayer, crying out to the Lord. And then I got myself ready and I went to church. I was late because of it. And then when I got to church, this church that I just started, I was just visiting that church. It wasn't even my church. I was visiting that church. And when I got there, the church was full and my seat, because I always sit at the front, I have a front seat. And the seat, 2 seats was there. Me and my friend, we went right to the front because there was no other seats. And I was just praying. I was saying, just praying, just giving thanks that I reached safe. Preaching was already started because it was late. But then the pastor, as he was preaching, I just heard him, I was listening to him preach, and then I just heard him say, those who were crying will cry no more. And I just came from that crying, you know, and then he spoke in tongues and I spoke in tongues. And then I just heard the Lord said, this is where I'm planting you. And ever since then, I've been in that church. I had to leave my church because this is where God has planted me and I'm working in that church. I'm doing a lot in that church and I'm happy and I'm in a good place. And I know that my son is coming home. I know that and I'm believing that and I speak it every day. My son's coming home, and when he comes home, he's coming home with no murder charge on his name, no murder license. He's coming home and he's going to be restored. Yeah. So I know saying no to joint enterprise. Yeah. That ministry is a ministry, not an organization. It's a ministry and it's going to work not just for my son. It's gone beyond my son now. It's not about my son anymore. It's a bigger thing. And I know it's a spiritual thing. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but spiritual wickedness in high places. And all them judges and all of them police, there's spiritual wickedness in high places. But we're going to pull them down. we're going to pull them down because they're under our feet in Jesus' name. But yeah, and that's what I believe. And I know that's what's going to happen. And I just look forward to the victory. And that's me. And I'm strong in that. My faith is strong. And I'm good. God's strength for me. And I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to fight this all the way. Yeah.
Yeah. Before we bring the question over to you, Carmen,
Can I just
please,
say one thing,
of course.
Carmen? I know you gone the opposite, like you said, but I just want to bring this. In the Bible, you had Joseph. Yeah, Joseph went to prison. Even Paul himself was in prison. He wrote most of his work from prison.
Praising the Lord up in
so
prison.
It's in the Bible, all of these things that we go through. We don't know why we go through. Everybody's got a story. That's why you can tell your story. Everybody has to go through something. Your son has to go through. He's got to come out. He's coming out, but he's gonna have his story to tell. We don't know why he has to go through it. We don't know why everyone else, like in the Bible, went through what they went through, but they overcame. They overcame because God had a plan and a purpose for them. And that's what he's got for your son. I just want to say that.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you for those words. I mean, yeah, I'll just bounce off of that a little bit as well. Just words of encouragement, not only for yourself, but for others. And I know we all know this, but when we're going through the situation, it's very hard to put yourself in that, God's got a plan, it's cool, everything's going to work out. Like, sometimes it's not really easy to fathom that.
God got a plan and I'm there suffering. Sometimes it's just, thinking, is this the way he's showing his love to me, or he loves me? And these are the questions I'm asking.
Those are
because you can't love someone and cause them. I can be walking down the road and maybe end up in the mix because my mind is not here. Every night my son spending that prison jail. I'm inside there. I'm walking on the street. My mind is inside that prison with my son.
Of course.
I'm serving a sentence for crime that I did not commit. That's how affected it is to me. I'm serving the sentence with him. And I can't see myself to say, I'm saying it because I'm not going to be a hypocrite to say I'm happy with what happened. No, I'm not going to be a hypocrite to say I'm happy. God loves me and loves my son. If God, why is he causing me this pain? That's the way he is proving his love to me. I grows up from in the womb, seeing my parents, them all they do church every day. I grows up going to church 3 days a week when I was in Jamaica. I grew up the same way with my children, them, grow them up in, even when I come to this country, I would watch them like a hawk to make sure they're in church.
Yeah.
Right? And Christopher Barnier is the only child I have in this country. The only child I have in this country. And I trying to grow him up that he loves church, he loves the Lord. He had sent the prayer sign tattoo on his hand. He did not go there and tattoo guns. He did not tattoo knife. He tattooed the prayer.
Yeah.
And St. John's 3, verse 1, the whole of him hand. For God so loved the world that he gave his own begotten son. That's what he have tattooed on him. Right? He didn't have drugs tattoo, money tattoo anyway. It's the Lord's words he had tattoo on him.
Yeah.
And he is questioning his faith right now too. Since his question is faith. Even he said when he was going on the trial, he fasted for 2 straight weeks before he went into fasting. While he was in that dock, he wasn't concentrating on nothing what they have up there to say. He was there praying. And for this to happen to him, he questioned faith. And I do not wrong him because I'm doing the same. You cannot say you loves me and putting me through this pain. I'm in pain. I'm in hurt. People is saying to me, oh, he maybe sometime put Christopher to protect him. But how are you protecting someone when he's hurting? I'm hurting. I am hurting. Deep inside me, see how I'm stressed, depression. I'm on anxiety now, depression tablets. So how can you telling me that God loves me and causing me all these hurts?
True.
So I'm not going to be two-faced.
No, he does.
And
Listen,
pretend.
God appreciates honesty.
Yeah, yes.
He doesn't
because
want the
he's
lies.
angry with me when I do something wrong. I know he's angry with me. So therefore, I'm angry with him to let me see that I'm angry. I'm not going to be a hypocrite. And then he will understand that I'm not a hypocrite.
There's two ways you can look
I'm
at
telling
this.
him off, just like how he tell me he would angry with me. Yeah.
Of course. I believe there's two ways you can look at this, right? Of course. And I don't want to be cliche and say what everyone's been saying.
Listen, I used to get up every morning, 3 o'clock, and have my morning worship, devotion, pray, read my Bibles, and everything. And from this happen, I don't do it.
But you see, that's what the devil wants.
No, but at the end
that's
of
how
the
the
day,
devil wins, though.
At the end of the day, I just think to myself, say, you know what? There's no God, there's no devil. This is a universe thing.
What, do you know what they say? Do you know what they say that the best lie the devil ever told was?
Right.
To tell people that he doesn't exist.
Because I'm angry.
Of course.
I'm angry. My one son. My one son. I know everything I want to do. I have to now go to people. People knowing my private business. Right? Everything. Because it was my son. And he's gone. He's snatched. This is like the days of fear. And then all the boys, they were like hiding them. Parents have to be hiding them. This is the day come back. This biblical day is it right here now. Only because they used to kill them, though. But now they are snatching them and lock them away behind high walls.
Slavery.
Yeah, it is a shame. And I don't want to downplay that at all because I can never, understand what you're personally feeling. What I do want to just reiterate is the number one tactic of the enemy, the spiritual enemy that we face every day, is to frustrate us out of that worship. Because the reason that God tells us to praise him in all things is not just because God wants to hear our praise all the time or because he needs it. It's not just because, this is the only way that we get some kind of redemption in a bad situation. That's the only way he hears us to turn it around. The reason that he wants us to keep praising him is because when we stop praising, our mind starts complaining. And we don't know what God is doing behind the scenes. Now, it is true. Some people will say maybe God is protecting him in this place. And as a parent, you're thinking, why would God protect my son by putting him in a crazy place like
and
prison?
Me out here.
Right? But
can walk
we
out
never
into
know.
vehicle anytime.
We never know what could have been waiting for him with those friends that he was chilling with. He might have not been the bad, apple in the bunch, but the apples around him weren't too great. And what they were attracted. What the devil also does is, just before you say that, the devil, and this is something that I know even from growing up, right? Being the one that kind of grew up in the church. My mom was a pastor. I knew the right thing, but I was running with everyone else. The devil knows who I was. He could see that aura around me. He's like, this is God's child. And everyone around me, I'm not saying they didn't have no bright aura around them, but even the way that they would look to me, it's like the devil knew, I've got these lot where I want them. They're happy to sin. They are happy to run around crazy. Chris is on the fence. He's half and half. How do I tip him over like that a little bit more so he leaves God.
Is it
You know what I'm saying?
Christopher?
My name's Christopher. Yeah.
That's my son, so
Yeah,
we call him
yeah.
Chris.
Yeah, Chris. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, but I just wanted to say, you know what I'm saying, that's his tactic. You know what I'm saying? So we have to understand that there may be many different reasons. Your son, God could be preparing your son for ministry. And the people that he has to minister to are going to be the hardest people to minister to. Where else is he going to get the training from them firsthand? You already said that he was helping people with the Bible studies. Now, as a parent, that's going to be very difficult for you to deal with. Another 12 and a half years of not being able to hug him every morning or
Cook him
make
a
breakfast
meal.
for him.
Even
And you know what I'm saying?
Sunday, I was at home and I was cooking, and while in the kitchen, I just get very emotional, and I just walk out from the kitchen to the front door, the passage door, and I could just find myself screaming and said, when will I be able to see my son walk back through this door? When? I go to bed at night in tears and I wake up in the morning in tears.
Yeah, this joint enterprise thing is really crazy. Because like I said, the effects on the family are just crazy. And to kind of bounce away from that side again, I like bouncing around. But I wanted to kind of address that whole unspoken feeling of like just helplessness. Because
It's
when a
just
lot of
coming.
people are going through, excuse me, when a lot of people are going through like legal battles or struggles in many different capacities, whether it's corporate, whether it's family, whether it's domestic, whatever, it's like, you know, with your representation and with what you know, you kind of feel like you're going in there with a fight. You know, we've got our weapons, they got their weapons, and we're going to see who's winning here. But with this joint enterprise thing, it kind of seems like you guys show up with whatever weapons you come with, but then at the, you know, where they're at security, where they got the thing and they take away all your weapons and they're like, no, you can only go in court with your words. And not even that, really. You can't even
They're
really
not
speak.
even because they're
We're
not
just going to
listening
look
to
at your
you.
face.
The
You know
prosecutor,
what I mean?
they style you as liar. They call you
manipulate,
most
twist
name.
what you're saying.
This is why sometimes they get some of the defendants there, because if you know you don't do anything and you standing and the prosecutor start, you're lying, you're this, you're that. That will make you angry.
Of
Yeah,
course,
they want
yeah.
to provoke you so they
Yeah.
can prove their agenda.
They call them pack of wolves. This is all the names they call them.
But when you guys were, you know, because obviously you guys have been
You
past
grow
the
up in
sentencing bit now, but when you guys were coming up to the sentencing, how did you struggle to keep the pace, feeling like we don't even have any weapons in this fight? Like they have the whole arsenal, but they've stripped us of everything. We're just here to listen to what they have to say, basically, and whatever they decide has no influence. Like we have no influence. Like how did that feel? You know what I mean?
For me,
You know.
I can't even explain how I feel. To be honest, I'm going to be honest. I couldn't go to the whole trial because I was working.
Okay, wow.
So my family would go. Um, his dad would go. But I was there when they reached. I was there for the verdict and the sentencing at the time. I don't even know how I felt. I don't think I had any feelings, to be honest. I don't know. I can't even explain how I felt when they gave the sentence what he got. I just screamed, cried all the way home, and just cried for days until I got the phone call from my son. I called my work and I just told my manager I can't come in. She knew already. I told her what was going on. But yeah. And there wasn't much support neither. Not even really from my family as such. So I was just at home on my own. So it wasn't, I mean, my youngest sister called me. By the time she called me, it was late. I've already kind of calmed down a bit, you know. and my other sister, she called me, but my sister, she lived in Milton Keynes and nothing, there was no one there to console me. There was no one there. So yeah, it wasn't nice. But I can't even, I mean, it's 10 years ago, but it wasn't nice. Or I wouldn't even want my worst enemy to experience what I experienced.
What gets you back, knowing that you get sons of a result? Do you pray? Do you fast? Do you try to hook a positive ways? Like what gets you? What gets you to through?
Yeah, just living for God, living for Christ. That's what's got me through. Doing my work. I've achieved a lot since. I've achieved a lot because that's just focus on God, and God's just opened up doors for me in all different avenues, doing things. I've had hard times. I was out of work for, actually I actually left my job in 2020. But and then now the job that I am in is the job that I love. I work with women that have suffered abuse. I'm coming from that background, so I'm passionate about what I do, and to me, it's a ministry, and God's placed me there. So I'm helping others in different ways. So yeah, and in my church, I do a lot of work. I got prayer line. I do pray. I'm an intercessor, so I pray for people. So where God is using me, because they say like when you pray for other people and do things, just doing other things for other people, then God will always work out things for you. So I'm not looking at, I pray and I give my children to God. God's got them, they're protected. Yeah, my son is alive. He might be in prison, but he's alive. I can see him. If I want to see him, I can see him. He's not 10 foot under. I'm not going to no grave and saying, bawling at no grave for my son. My son is alive. And if it is there that he is there for protection or whatever God wants to do in his life, that's how I look at it. So, yes, it's not a nice situation, but there's nothing I can do about it yet. Now I'm ready to fight. And yeah, like I said, it's beyond my son now. It's not about my son anymore. It's a big, deep, deep, deep thing. So I'm ready to fight spiritually because it's a spiritual thing. And I cannot fight it in my flesh. It's not something we can fight in our flesh. So I'm ready. I'm ready to fight, and I'm ready to fight in the spirit. That's how I fight in the spirit. And that's how God's going to do it in the spirit. Not here. Got to be done up there. And that's what I do. And that's what we do. And it's sacrifices, fasting, midnight prayers, you know. So yeah, and I'm ready. Me ready. I'm ready for the victory. And I'm ready because my son's coming home sooner than we think. Yeah.
Come.
Yeah, with me, during the whole process of the trial, the first trial, I was there every day. The only time if I stop, like maybe if I have an appointment, I would make sure book early appointment that I can get there even for lunchtime after. Yeah, I was there every day until the verdict. And I was like sitting in when the verdict comes in. That's the first trial. I was sitting there, and when they called out each name and say guilty, I was like, oh my God. And then everyone was called out, and then Christopher was sitting the same way. I didn't hear Chris. I'm thinking, what's going on with Christopher? So I was sitting there thinking, what's going on? Because I was thinking now, say, well, maybe they're not finding him guilty. It's then when they read out his name and said they cannot reach a verdict. And the the clerk asked the question 3 times. I said, that's your verdict against Mr. Wilson? And they say, yeah. So, in time, the prosecutor say, I'm going to put in an application for a retrial. So, that's where he put in the application. So, we were all hoping and saying, well, if he got a hung jury now, then maybe the next trial he'll be home. We put in, it's how dangerous this prosecutor are. They put in for bails, and when the bail prosecutor in the bail application say that Christopher cannot, it's not suitable for Christopher to be on bail because he is still communicating with, associate with his defendants, then with the gangs member outside. I'm saying, how the hell can my son inside a prison and still he only have few minutes on the phone to call, but he talk to his girlfriend, I talk to me, I talk to his dad, his credit. No, why they must come up with these lies? So he didn't, the bail was black. He didn't get bail, so he was still there until the application that they apply for the retrial will come for February. For February, that was February last year. So when it comes to the time now for the trial, it was still, because the first trial was January, so it's near a 1 year after that trial, this trial that took place now. So when it comes to that time now, they cancel it and put it back way November, the 4th of November. That I was like saying to my son, say, you know what? Don't be disappointed about sometime God. That's why I did have my faith in it. God knows why he put it, because we are in the season of Lent, and in Lent everything goes bad and everything's that bad happen.
I've never heard that. I never heard that before.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
In Lent, when it come that kind of temptation.
Are you Catholic?
In Lent.
Are you Catholic?
No.
Okay.
I'm Christian.
You say Lent?
Lent.
I thought Catholic people do Lent.
No, Lent. All kind of tribulation take you. Most accident, pregnant mother going to die.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of dying child, a lot of things happening. So I said, I put it that way and said maybe something bad gonna happen, so it turns around. So, and but now when it comes on the 4th, was the 4th of November, still there support by friends, because my family here is not really big. My dad passed away while my son was inside. Then at the same time when my son trial was on, my stepsister passed away. So all these things going through my head. So I was like sitting like what every day. And I was like feeling strong, because I'm thinking positive that he gonna found not guilty. Everyone who come to the court was sitting there listening to the evidence. Everyone, even the security them outside. Sometimes they get angry and say they don't know why the judge just don't throw it out. Have this policeman coming, twisting his tongue, everyone, everyone was angry. And the day after everything, the trial over and everything, and that was in the 13th of December. So they canceled it. It was the sentencing was supposed to be in January, but somehow because they have to do a pre-sentencing report and those things, so they put it for February. And I was going, and I'm still confident. There was nothing negative to say. I was just think positive that my son was there. But from the moment when we were sitting out there, And the security called me and tell me that the jury come back. They are come now because it took, I think they were out there 3 days. 3 days. Yeah, and the jury come back to return her. I'm just begin to feel weak. From then I said, no, something. My two knees are weak, weak. I'm going up the stairs and it's like my knees can't carry. I said to myself, no, Father, don't tell me you carry me through the whole trial with strength. And now as it come to this point, I'm feeling weak, something not right. And there are quite a lot of people there and they inside there, they, try to, have shoulder to lean on, and we went in, and before we even reach, it's half a past, we hear the verdict. And when I hear, the clerk said, are you sure you, the members of the jury, found Christopher Wilson guilty of murder? And the jury said, yes. It's like, I still can't believe. And she asked them the question 3 times because she in shock too. And she asked the question 3 times and they say yes. I shout out inside and said, no. How can you find someone guilty when there's no evidence? Is this racist or bias? I start to shout it out in there. I said, this is racist and bias. You look at him and see as a black boy in that dock and think the best place for him is prison. You break the law, you take oath, and yet still you find my son guilty of murder when there's no evidence to link him. I did give it to them in there. And then they send like security to come get me out. But me already give it to them and step out. So my son said, he called me the evening and then he said to me, say, he just get up out the box. Just as I come out, he just get up and just go downstairs because I'm not going to sit there and listen to them chatting their crap and rubbish about him. And so he did just get up and leave there. So he doesn't even know what happened after.
What do you guys, because obviously you guys work quite closely with Say No to Joint Enterprise on looking at ways that obviously you guys can start turning these things over, essentially, and start getting some people out, and just stopping some people going in for the nonsense that they're going in for. But what do you guys, firstly, I guess, want to see from the legal side, from the judges, from the police, from the CPS, what do you guys want to see from them? The obvious answer is honesty, I know, but what do you guys want to see from them? Because you guys have been there. So what practically do you need to actually see happen?
For me personally, all of those corrupt police officers, judges, there's corruption. And I just believe that when everything blows up, they'll be going to prison. Something's going to be happening because what they're doing is illegal. Modern day slavery. So I just believe the same way how, they got all these pedophiles locked up now, that's what's going to be happening. It's time. Is what's going on is not right. And it is under the umbrella of modern day slavery. And they know what they're doing and they're getting away with it. So yeah, that's what I believe that's going to happen. And that's what I want.
Okay.
Justice.
Okay. And just sort of comment in terms of the justice system.
With me, I think it is definitely a criminal offense, and for you to send someone to prison for a very long time for crime they didn't commit, and I think sometime they should go back and like vet the police them, and because these police they coerce evidence. They coerce evidence at that time because they are there not to lose. They are there to gain a conviction. They are there to receive a stripe because that's where they step up to every conviction they earn. So they are gonna fight and do everything. And the thing that with this giant enterprise, it is rubbish. Because why I'm saying this, you can't have a set of young people born and grow in a community. They go to the same nursery. They go to the same primary school. They go to the same college. Sometimes they end up in the same university. They go to the end. For them now cannot be friends. They are classed as gangs under this giant enterprise. It is totally wrong. It is wrong and believable. And this is a crime is committed by both the police, the jury, the prosecutor, and the judge. They are in it to win it. And these are the tactics that they are using to put our young black, especially black males, inside prison for a long time, wrecking life and mismantled family, right? Because it is horrible to deal with. It's not a good situation. Trust me, it's not good. This is dangerous. And I think when this come to an self where we think it will, I think all these police and judge and everybody should go and pay a price for this. They should all go on trial themselves.
Yeah.
And then again, the next things, how do we trust the jury system? That's my next question. Because you're going to go out there and you picked up 12 members of the public who you don't know, maybe don't even vet them. You sit here, all of us here, and none of us, you don't know me. You don't know, but yet still, you're going to come and find me guilty for something, and you don't know nothing about me. That's judgmental.
Yeah, that jury thing is mad.
That is the danger. I don't see the judge as the danger, neither the prosecutor, because they can't try it. It's the jury is the danger. How does they don't know that how does they don't know that even 2 or 3 of those jury is not victim of crime out the road?
Trust.
And yeah.
Revenge.
Yeah.
This is my revenge.
This is my time. Somebody robbed me out there. Somebody stabbed some member of my family. So this is my yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the whole jury system is a chaos. It should scrap.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then this is now in the appeal court. They don't want to go against the jury verdict. So this is why you see most people they not getting the conviction quashed because they don't want to go against it. But I think the judge himself should have the power to overturn a verdict if the judge knows that the verdict is not right. He should not allow it.
Do they not have the power to do that? I thought they could do that.
No.
They can't do that.
It's only if they think the same judge assigned my son. It's true. There was a set of 4 boys that the jury them found them not guilty. And the judge when it's not the judge doing it, it's the prosecutor. They overturned it and said, no, these boys should be found guilty. And they take it back to court. Remand them back in custody after the jury found them not guilty. And remand them back into court and they were there nearly another year and go and try and they still found not guilty. So this is wasting of taxpayer money because each defendant is near £1 million. £1 million for one of these defendant trials. So when you have 7 defendants it's £7 million that. Plus to keep one of them in prison is £45,000 a year.
Damn, boy. These guys are worth a lot of money.
Money making.
They're worth a lot of money, man. They're worth a lot of money.
But it's just a business. It's just because you have all these big money into it. So everybody, what they call it? When all these, they put shares. Yeah, they are all shareholder in it.
Yeah.
The police in it, the judge in it, the prosecutor, every one of them in there. So the prison have to full. It got to full to make the money because my son is there. I don't put my son in there. I didn't. And every Tuesday I have to choose whether to send my son money than to top up my light. Because he said the only thing they give them free in there is a toilet tissue. That's the only freeness they get. They have to buy the bath stuff, their hygiene, everything they have to buy. They have the big supermarket in there where they put in their list, their shopping list. So I have to send them canteen and phone bill to pay. So I have to choose between him because I don't want him in there stressed out. And you can go out here and get a body wash in even the pawn shop or pawn shop for £1. Inside there, if you don't have £3 or £4, you cannot get it.
Yes, expensive.
Right? So it's a money thing.
Yeah.
They're inside here, they're not working. So where they gonna expect to get the money from? We the family and loved ones. Under the strain, under the pressure to still support them. When they should be out here, they are so. My son applied for the army. The same month he got arrested, they call him to come in. And this is where he is.
It's better. Boy, I'm not saying it's better, but yo, the wars that they would have been sending him to right now, I don't think you want him going over there.
He was in cadet, so he just have that passion. Guy was in cadet family.
It's admirable. It's a very good discipline.
Yeah. This is why I'm sure he disciplined and he was in martial art. We sent him to do all this thing. All his discipline. My son is disciplined. He's in the prison. Right now he's supposed, and they don't even want him to move from Belmarsh. It's like they're telling him, you're not leaving here, going anywhere. Every officer in there, same is the celebrity in there.
Well, there you go. It's the
because he just quiet, he just humble. If Christopher walk in this room, his face, he had something, I don't know, just whether young, old, everybody, he just have that, quietness. If me at his house, and because they did move him when he gets stabbed up, and I used to go over in, he was in Holy Side, and sometimes he won't tidy up his house, his room and his kitchen. So sometimes I go over there and notice, just to go there to see what here. And I would find the kitchen messy and his bedroom. So I would get at him. You see, if he would never mumble or grumble, he just take his time and he go back into his room and he lock his door in there. And he will in there until he hear me cold down. You see him taking time come out. Are you hungry, Mom? I want a cup of tea. Sometimes I have to just look at him and smile. You never, ever how you hear somebody is white English, you tell them parents because F off this, that. It never hear that little boy say.
That still surprises me when I hear them tell their mom shut up.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa. I would have got killed for them.
He never once Oh, mom, you too miserable, are you? He never.
I wanna before we close, I have a thought that I just want to ask you guys' opinion on, and it was based on what I was talking about earlier with the conversation with my friend. So in the conversation, my friend was like, "Yo, like all these problems we're talking about, like we want to do something about it, but it's just gonna fall on deaf ears." And I said to him, I was like, "Yo, man, like I feel a way for these people that are suffering," and because we went hard, we were talking about Africa, we were going in, and he was like, "Yo, I feel bad for all of these black people around the world that are suffering because of racism. And I feel like my feelings are falling on deaf." I don't know if this makes sense, but deaf ears. And it's like, what do you guys think about that? Do you feel like all of this is just gonna fall on deaf ears, like the fight, the campaigning, or is there an actual viable kind of result here that's gonna be like, you know what? Yeah, I can actually see this happening. Because a lot of people, like you said, it's easy to lose hope in this kind of joint enterprise situation. And even with me, like I can obviously believe in God and I know he can do everything. But the way I look at the racism in this country, I'm like, damn, like the people at the top that you need to make the change, they're the racist ones.
Yeah.
So they need to go. And how do the ones under, like, I'm sorry, I'm answering for you guys. So what do you guys think about that?
For me, I believe that change is coming.
Okay.
I do believe that black people are rising up. Really do believe that. It might be taking time, but we are rising up. And I know and I believe I'm believing and I'm trusting. Yeah, because that's the only thing. And when you believe, trust, pray, yeah, you see. Just like Sister Pearl saw. God spoke to her. She knew her son was coming home. God told her beforehand. God will speak to us. He speaks to us. Yeah, as long as you've got that personal relationship with him and you're doing what you're supposed to do, living righteously, living how you're supposed to live, God will speak. And I believe. So yeah, change definitely is gonna happen. And I that's what I feel in that's what I know in my spirit. Feel in my spirit, that's what I see. So I ain't got no doubts. And I'm not making no doubt come into me.
Amen.
So
Yeah.
and
Like, I mean, thank you to both of you again. It has, every time I hear another story, it is just like, my goodness gracious, this is really happening. Like, and people would have no idea that people are just being sold into slavery. Like, calm, just here you go, sheeps to the slaughter, God forbid. To anybody out there again, because it can feel very isolating, I guess, when you're going through something like this. But, I myself, I'm going to open my lines up if anybody wants to, I'm saying, holler at me, need some spiritual advice. You just want to tell your story, please, because, I feel like it's also very important for you guys just to talk about it, to get the story out there, I'm saying, to kind of have a release. Not that you don't have people that you speak about it with, but, I feel like it's very therapeutic when you can kind of just get that release. And I want to also throw encouragement to all of you, I'm saying, Pearls, Paulette, Carmen, and to all of the others that are part of you guys' organization. Do not give up on God, because he will not ever give up on you. We have to remember that as much as we're tempted, as much as we're trialed, Jesus himself, the man himself, was tempted by the clown Satan. The clown thought he could really tempt Jesus, bro, like with some jewels. And if, the big man himself was attempted, the devil's going to try us, no problem. You know what I'm saying? But, Yes, sometimes it can be protection. Sometimes it can be the will of God for the future. Sometimes it could be generational curses that we need to break. Sometimes it could just be our own actions.
Well, I
There's
ask
a
all this
whole plethora.
question. I ask this, all these questions come generation. But thinking back, I said, I don't know anyone in my family. All growing up, I just see if you go out and someone doing it, you go in and make complaint. My grandmother also would just, left them to God, left them to God. That's
You
I'm
know,
just being questioning
search
what
the
could
spirit.
have caused
Search the
wrong.
spirit. You know, this is another reason that we have him. We have the Holy Spirit. You know what I'm saying? Speak to God. Ask him to reveal to you what the reason is.
I ask
Ask
all
him
those
to
questions.
keep
Me,
asking.
I ask that
Keep asking
question.
because
Sometimes
it's
I squeal out, I say, I
have to
need
be still.
answer. I want an answer.
you know
What is the
sometimes
causing of this?
our anguish is so loud that we don't even give God a chance to give us the answer. Sometimes the answer is there. You know, when I was young, somebody said something, a minister said something that I found very important, and it's helped me the whole of my life when I have to question God about certain things. And he said to me, when you pray to God for something and you ask him, God's going to give you one of three answers. He's going to either say yes, he's going to either say no, or he's going to say wait. Because sometimes we're not even in a position to receive the revelation yet. We're in too much, our emotions are too high, or sometimes we haven't, like, we're trying to go to level 12, we're at level 10. God's like, look, I know this is seeming crazy, and I know it seems like there's no way out, but am I not the God of the impossible? So don't worry, leave it to me, and I will take care of him and everything that concerns him. You are going to be so proud of the way this
I'm
turns
gonna
out,
give
trust
you
me.
a story. After the verdict passed and they found myself guilty, I always read in this psalm, they say, I will not let your enemies laugh you and I will not let you hang your head in shame.
Amen.
That was one of my favorite. And
Amen.
this is where I start to question my faith. I said, when I come outside of that God, was waiting for my son legal team to come, is this policeman I see come through the door and look at me and hang and laughing. So that's where I say, hold on, is this right? Because I'm reading the Bible and it tells say, will not let my enemy last me to scorn. And this is what happening in my eyes. So where do I go from there?
There's a whole
The
broadness to
policeman
that
come out,
text.
you know, and he look at me and smile. It was two of them and laughed. And I said, where do I go from here?
Let me tell you where, and we're gonna end it here because I feel like this should apply to anybody who is in distress, and it doesn't just need to be on a legal situation. Anybody who's at the end of their tether and doesn't understand what the next chapter is. God, please forgive me for paraphrasing, but you know when God's people was outside the walls of Jericho, what did God tell them to do? Now, they didn't have no idea how they was going to do this mission, but God told them, I want you to march around these walls and I want you to start praising me. Start praising me as if I've already done what you've asked me to do. And they were doing it thinking, yo, people are looking at them like, look at these crazy people. What are they praising for? They ain't won nothing. So I want you to start praising God as if he's giving you what you want.
Listen,
But
sometimes I
don't
get
stop.
up I'm in the kitchen, I'm talking, I'm looking through my window, I'm looking through the sky and I'm talking
Keep praising.
that's what I used to, as I said, is since my son found guilt and just, I don't know if it will come back.
It will. Come
I
on, man.
come that,
God ain't
but
gonna leave you
right
out in the
at the
cold,
as
yo.
the moment now, I'm really angry.
I
I'm
understand.
honest.
Can I just
I
say
wish I had
something?
more time to speak to you about this. I'm not gonna lie,
I just want to
because I
say,
would. Yes.
with me, like I said, when it happened to me, and all I just did was cried, and all I just said was the same thing every day. God, why have you forsaken me? And he gave me my answer.
Mm.
When he gave me my answer, I was at peace. occupied with joy. So I have to maybe just be still. I was in my bed. I was at home. I was off work. And that's all I was saying. And I got that one phone call. And from that one phone call, even though it was distressing, but after what my son said, that was it. I was at peace.
All right, guys, we are gonna end it there. But thank you guys so much for coming, Paulette and Carmen. Honestly, we don't give enough time to these conversations. I feel like we should, because definitely could have dealt with a few more things. But guys, please like, please share, please subscribe. We don't do all of that long thing, you know what I'm saying. But welcome to the SMG podcast, baby. You know what I'm saying. Pow, pow, pow.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
Thank you.